The rise of the Calder legacy. The vast expanse of the galaxy was a place where only the strongest thrived. For centuries, the Calder species had been the pinnacle of evolution, that empire spanning countless star systems. The Calder were renowned for their technological prowess, unmatched strength, and unyielding resolve. They were a race that conquered and ruled with an iron fist, leaving nothing but subjugation in their wake. But as with all great empires, the Calder's time came to an end. Their once mighty civilization crumbled, leaving behind ruins and remnants of a once glorious past. The Calder homeworld, now a desolate husk, served as a grim reminder of their fall from grace. Yet, even in their defeat, the Calder left behind a legacy that would come to haunt the galaxy once more. Deep within the heart of the Calder homeworld, buried beneath layers of rock and rubble, lay a secret. This secret had been hidden away for millennia, forgotten by time and history. But now, it was on the verge of being unearthed, and its discovery would set off a chain of events that would change the fate of the galaxy forever. The discovery was made by a team of human explorers led by Captain Lina Shaw. Lina was a seasoned explorer, known for her daring expeditions into uncharted territories. Her crew, a diverse group of humans and aliens, had come to the Calder homeworld in search of ancient artifacts. What they found, however, was something far more dangerous. As the team delved deeper into the ruins, they uncovered a massive underground chamber. The walls were lined with intricate carvings and symbols depicting the rise and fall of the Calder Empire. At the center of the chamber stood a colossal structure, pulsating with a strange, otherworldly energy. It was unlike anything Lina had ever seen before. "This is it," Lina whispered, her voice filled with awe. "The Calder legacy." As the team began to investigate the structure, they realized that it was a gateway, a portal to another dimension. The Calder had been experimenting with interdimensional travel, seeking to expand their empire beyond the known galaxy, but something had gone terribly wrong. The portal had malfunctioned, trapping the Calder in a nightmarish realm of darkness and chaos. Now, the portal was reactivating, threatening to unleash the horrors of that realm upon the galaxy once more. "We have to shut it down," Lina said urgently. "If this portal opens, it could spell the end of everything." But as the team worked to deactivate the portal, they were confronted by a new threat. The Calder had left behind guardians, automated war machines programmed to protect the portal at all costs. These machines, known as the Sentinels, were armed with advanced weaponry and impenetrable armor. They were relentless, merciless, and utterly loyal to their creators. The first wave of Sentinels descended upon the team with a fury that took them by surprise. Laser fire and explosions filled the chamber as the explorers fought for their lives. Despite their advanced technology, the humans were outmatched. The Sentinels were too powerful, too well coordinated. It seemed like there was no way to stop them. But Lina refused to give up. She knew that if they didn't succeed, the entire galaxy would be at risk. Drawing upon all her experience and knowledge, she devised a plan. The team would split into two groups, one to distract the Sentinels, the other to deactivate the portal. It was a risky move, but it was their only chance. As the battle raged on, Lina and her team fought with everything they had. They used every trick, every weapon at their disposal. Slowly but surely, they began to gain the upper hand. The Sentinels, while formidable, were not invincible. One by one, they fell, their circuits fried and their systems overloaded. Finally, Lina reached the control panel at the base of the portal. With trembling hands, she input the deactivation sequence. The portal's energy field began to wane, its glow dimming as the gateway slowly closed. But just as Lina thought they had succeeded, a final wave of Sentinels appeared, more powerful than before. They were the last line of defense, the ultimate guardians of the Calder legacy, and they were determined to complete their mission, no matter the cost. Lina knew that this was it, the final showdown. She rallied her team, urging them to give it their all. The fate of the galaxy rested on their shoulders, and they would not back down. With a fierce battle cry, Lena led the charge. The final battle had begun, the final stand. The chamber was filled with the deafening roar of battle. The last wave of sentinels, sleek and imposing, descended with a precision that spoke of countless battles fought and won. Their glowing eyes locked onto the human explorers, assessing them as mere obstacles in the way of their ultimate mission, protecting the portal at all costs. Captain Lena Shaw, bruised but unbowed, quickly barked orders to her team. "We need to hold them off long enough to completely shut down the portal. Everyone, give it everything you've got." The crew, a mix of battle-hardened soldiers and brilliant scientists, fell into action. Lieutenant Marcus Kane, the team's weapons specialist, unleashed a barrage of plasma grenades, targeting the lead sentinels. The explosions rocked the chamber, sending shockwaves through the ancient stone walls. But the sentinels pressed on, their shields absorbing much of the impact. "They're adapting," Marcus shouted, his voice tinged with frustration. "We need more firepower," Lena muttered, her mind racing. Then she remembered the experimental energy disruptor they had brought along, a last-resort weapon designed to overload and short-circuit electronic systems. It had been deemed too unstable for regular use, but now seemed the perfect time to take the risk. "Marcus, get the disruptor online," Lena commanded. As Marcus scrambled to activate the device, Dr. Ilara Voss, the team's lead scientist, worked frantically at the portal's control panel. Her fingers danced over the ancient glyphs, trying to decipher the final steps to permanently deactivate the portal. The Calder's technology was far beyond anything they had encountered before, and even with her vast knowledge, it was a daunting task. "I need more time," Ilara called out, her voice strained with concentration. Lena nodded, knowing that time was the one thing they didn't have. The sentinels were advancing, their weapons firing deadly beams that tore through the air with terrifying accuracy. Two of Lena's crew members, Private Jenkins and Corporal Diaz, were caught in the crossfire. Jenkins managed to dive for cover, but Diaz was hit, his body crumpling to the ground. "Man down," yelled Sergeant Reyes, rushing to provide cover fire as they pulled Diaz to safety. The situation was growing increasingly desperate. Lena could feel the weight of the mission pressing down on her, but she refused to let despair take hold. She had led her team through countless perils before, and she would see them through this one too. "Disruptors ready," Marcus shouted, holding up the bulky device. "Fire it up," Lena ordered. Marcus activated the energy disruptor, and a high-pitched whine filled the chamber as the device powered up. He aimed it at the cluster of sentinels and pulled the trigger. A brilliant wave of energy erupted from the disruptor, arcing toward the enemy machines. The sentinels' shields flickered and then failed, their systems sparking and shorting out as the disruptor's energy wave overwhelmed them. The sentinels stumbled, their movements becoming erratic. One by one, they began to collapse, their once impenetrable armor cracking and falling apart. The disruptor had done its job, but it had also drained the last of its power. The device sparked and died in Marcus's hands. "We're out of juice," Marcus reported, tossing the spent disruptor aside. Lena knew they had bought themselves a precious few moments. "Ilara, now's your chance." With a final determined push, Ilara input the last of the deactivation commands. The portal's energy field pulsed violently, then began to collapse in on itself. The once blinding light dimmed, and the portal's swirling vortex slowed until it was nothing more than a faint shimmer. "It's working," Ilara cried out, her face breaking into a relieved smile. But their victory was short-lived. The portal, in its death throes, emitted a powerful shockwave that rippled through the chamber. The ground shook, and debris began to fall from the ceiling. The team was thrown off their feet, scrambling to avoid the collapsing structure. "Lena, we have to get out of here," shouted Sergeant Reyes, his voice barely audible over the rumble of the collapsing ruins. Lena knew he was right. Everyone, fall back. Now. The team moved as one, helping each other as they fled the chamber. The once grand ruins of the Calder homeworld were crumbling around them, a final testament to the end of an era. The explorers raced through the darkened corridors, the sound of destruction echoing in their ears. As they reached the surface, the full scale of the devastation became clear. The entire landscape was collapsing into itself, the ground splitting apart as the ancient structures fell into the abyss. The sky above, once clear, was now filled with swirling clouds of dust and debris. The team barely made it to their ship, the Endeavour, before the ground beneath them gave way. Lina urged her crew inside, and within moments, they were lifting off, escaping the collapsing world just in time. From the safety of space, they watched as the Calder homeworld imploded, disappearing into the void. The portal was gone, and with it, the threat it posed to the galaxy. But the cost had been high. They had lost good people, and the ruins of an ancient empire were now nothing more than stardust. As the Endeavour sailed away from the ruins, Lina sat quietly in the captain's chair, her thoughts heavy. The Calder legacy had been a reminder of the dangers of unchecked ambition and the power of ancient technology. But it had also been a testament to the resilience and determination of her team. "Captain," Ilara said softly, approaching Lina. "We did it. We stopped the portal." Lina nodded, a small smile touching her lips. "Yeah, we did. But this isn't over. There's still so much we don't know about the Calder and their legacy. We need to be ready for whatever comes next." Ilara agreed, her eyes reflecting the same resolve. "We'll be ready, Captain. Whatever happens, we'll face it together." As the Endeavour continued its journey through the stars, Lina knew that their fight was far from over. The galaxy was vast, and the remnants of the Calder were still out there, waiting to be discovered. But with her team by her side, she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The Calder legacy was just the beginning, and the real adventure was only just starting. Uncharted territory. The Endeavour cruised through the starry expanse, its engines humming softly. Inside, the mood was somber, but there was an undercurrent of determination. The crew was exhausted, still processing the loss of their comrades and the destruction of the Calder homeworld, but they knew their journey was far from over. Captain Lena Shaw stood on the bridge, staring out at the stars. The events of the past few days played over in her mind like a broken record. The implosion of the Calder homeworld, the collapsing ruins, the lives lost. They were all reminders of the dangerous unknowns that still lurked in the galaxy. "We're in uncharted territory now," she said quietly, more to herself than anyone else. Beside her, Dr. Ilara Voss nodded. "We knew the risks when we signed up for this mission, but it's still hard to believe how much we've lost." Lena turned to face Ilara. "We can't afford to dwell on it. The Calder may be gone, but their legacy is still out there. We need to find out what else they left behind and make sure it doesn't fall into the wrong hands." Ilara agreed. "I've been analyzing the data we recovered from the ruins before the collapse. There are references to other Calder sites, possibly even more advanced than the one we just destroyed. If we can find them, we might learn more about their technology and how to prevent it from being used as a weapon." Lina's eyes narrowed. "Where do we start?" Ilara pulled up a holographic map, highlighting a cluster of star systems on the edge of known space. The Calder left behind coordinates to several locations in this region. "We don't know exactly what's there, but it's our best lead." Lina studied the map. "We'll need to proceed with caution. If those sites are anything like the last one, we could be walking into another death trap." "I'm already working on enhancing our ship's defenses," Lieutenant Marcus Kane chimed in, having overheard their conversation. "I've also got the science team developing countermeasures against any more Sentinel attacks. We'll be ready." Sergeant Reyes joined them, his expression grim but resolute. "And the crew is prepared for whatever we encounter. We know what's at stake." Lina looked at each of them, feeling a surge of pride. Despite everything they had been through, they remained unwavering in their commitment to the mission. "All right then, We head for the coordinates. But remember, our priority is to learn, not to fight. We don't need to make any more enemies if we can avoid it. The Endeavour changed course, setting a direct path for the uncharted region. The crew prepared themselves for whatever lay ahead, knowing that they were venturing into the unknown. As the ship sailed deeper into space, the stars outside seemed to grow brighter, almost as if they were guiding away. But beneath the awe of discovery, there was an undercurrent of tension, a sense that something was waiting for them in the darkness, something ancient and powerful. Days turned into weeks as the Endeavour traversed the void. The crew busied themselves with preparations, running drills, upgrading systems, and studying the fragments of Calder data they had managed to recover. There was an air of anticipation on board, a feeling that they were on the verge of a monumental discovery. Finally, they arrived at the first set of coordinates. The region was a graveyard of stars, a cluster of ancient, dying suns surrounded by debris and cosmic dust. It was a place that had seen better days, a perfect hiding spot for something long forgotten. "Scan the area," Lina ordered. The ship's sensors swept the region, revealing the remains of what appeared to be a massive structure, now little more than a floating ruin. The debris field was vast, with twisted metal and shattered stone drifting aimlessly in the vacuum of space. "It's definitely Calder," Ilara confirmed as the data came in, but whatever it was, it's been destroyed for centuries. Lina's brow furrowed. Destroyed by what? "Hard to say," Ilara replied, her voice tinged with curiosity. "There are signs of battle damage, but also some kind of catastrophic internal failure. It's like the entire structure collapsed in on itself." Lina stared at the holographic display, her mind racing. Could it have been another portal? "Possibly," Ilara said, "but we'd need to get closer to be sure." Lina nodded. "Take us in, but keep shields at maximum, and be ready to pull out if anything looks off." The Endeavour moved cautiously into the debris field, its scanners picking up more details as they approached. The structure was massive, with what remained of its central hub dwarfing the ship. It was clear that this had once been a place of great power, now reduced to ruins by forces unknown. As they drew closer, something caught Ilara's attention. "Captain, I'm picking up a faint energy signature, deep within the debris. It's weak, but it's there." Lina's heart skipped a beat. Could it be a survivor? Or maybe some kind of automated system? "Unlikely," Ilara said, shaking her head. "If anything, it's more like a residual trace, something that's been there for a long time. But whatever it is, it's still active." "Can we get a visual?" Lena asked. Ilara adjusted the sensors, and a blurry image appeared on the screen. It showed a section of the ruins that seemed more intact than the rest, with strange symbols etched into the stone, symbols that were eerily similar to those they had seen in the Calder homeworld. "That's our target," Lena said decisively. "We need to find out what's causing that energy signature. Marcus, Reyes, suit up. We're going in." The team assembled in the airlock, donning their exosuits. The atmosphere was tense, but there was a shared sense of purpose. This was what they had come for, to uncover the secrets of the Calder and prevent their technology from falling into the wrong hands. As the airlock cycled open, Lena led the team out into the cold void of space. The ruins loomed before them, an ominous reminder of a once great civilization. The structure was massive up close, its surfaces pitted and scarred by age and conflict. "Stay close and keep your eyes peeled," Lena instructed as they made their way toward the energy source. The silence of space was unsettling, broken only by the soft hum of their suit comms. They floated through the debris field, weaving between twisted metal and crumbling stone. The path was treacherous, but they pressed on, driven by the need to uncover the truth. As they approached the source of the energy signature, the ruins became more intricate. The symbols etched into the walls grew more frequent, glowing faintly with an otherworldly light. It was as if the very stones were alive, humming with a forgotten power. "This is it," Ilara said, her voice tinged with awe. "The energy signature is coming from just beyond that wall." Lena examined the barrier. It was a solid slab of stone, covered in the same glowing symbols. There were no visible seams or openings. "Looks like we'll have to force our way in," Marcus said, reaching for his plasma cutter. Lena held up a hand. "Wait, let's not destroy anything unless we have to. There might be a way to unlock it." Ilara stepped forward, studying the symbols. "These glyphs, they're not just decoration. They're part of a mechanism, a lock of some kind." "Can you open it?" Lena asked. Ilara nodded slowly. "I think so, but it's going to take some time." "Do it," Lena ordered. "We'll cover you." As Ilara worked on deciphering the lock, Lena and the rest of the team kept watch, scanning the area for any signs of danger. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional crackle of their comms. Minutes felt like hours as Ilara carefully manipulated the symbols, aligning them in patterns that seemed to resonate with the structure itself. Finally, with a soft hum, the wall began to move, sliding open to reveal a dark passage beyond. Lena's heart raced. This was it, the moment they had been waiting for. "Let's move," she said, leading the way into the darkness. The passage was narrow, the walls closing in around them as they ventured deeper into the ruins. The air grew colder, and the faint glow of the symbols was the only light guiding their way. As they reached the end of the passage, they entered a large chamber, its ceiling arching high above them. In the center of the room stood a massive device, ancient and imposing. It pulsed with the same faint energy they had detected earlier, casting an eerie light across the chamber. "What is it?" Marcus whispered, his voice filled with awe. Ilara approached the device, her eyes wide with wonder. It's a generator. A power source of some kind, but I've never seen anything like it." Lena felt a chill run down her spine. The device was ancient, yet it was still active, still pulsing with energy. Whatever it was, it had survived the destruction of the Calder homeworld, and it was still waiting, still holding onto its secrets. "Ilara, can you figure out what it does?" Lena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ilara nodded, already examining the controls. "It's going to take some time, but I think I can." Suddenly, the chamber shook, and the ground beneath them rumbled. The walls began to close in, and the symbols on the walls flickered ominously. "Captain, we've got incoming," Marcus shouted, his weapons at the ready. Lena turned to see a new wave of sentinels emerging from hidden compartments in the walls, their eyes glowing with a menacing light. "Fall back. Defend the chamber," Lena ordered, her voice commanding. The team sprang into action, forming a defensive perimeter around the device as the sentinels advanced. Their weapons blazed as they fought to hold the line, but the sentinels were relentless, their numbers growing with each passing moment. "Ilara, we need to shut this thing down, now," Lena shouted as she fired at the advancing sentinels. "I'm working on it," Ilara replied, her fingers flying over the controls. The battle raged on, the chamber filled with the sounds of gunfire and the hum of the ancient device. The team fought valiantly, but the sentinels were closing in, their weapons tearing through the air. "Captain, we can't hold them off much longer," Marcus warned, his voice strained. Just as it seemed they were about to be overwhelmed, Ilara let out a triumphant cry. "I've got it." The device pulsed one final time, and then with a blinding flash of light, it shut down. The energy signature vanished, and the sentinels froze in place, their eyes dimming as they powered down. The chamber fell silent, the only sound the heavy breathing of the exhausted crew. Lena lowered her weapon, her heart still racing. What just happened? Ilara turned to her, her face pale but relieved. "I managed to disable the generator. It was powering the sentinels. Without it, they're just lifeless machines." Lena nodded, a wave of relief washing over her. "Good work, Ilara. Let's get what we came for and get out of here before anything else goes wrong." As the team collected data from the device, Lena couldn't shake the feeling that they had only scratched the surface of the Calder's legacy. There were still so many unanswered questions, so many mysteries left to uncover. But one thing was certain: whatever the Calder had left behind, it was powerful and dangerous, and it was up to them to make sure it didn't fall into the wrong hands. As the Endeavour left the ruins behind, Lena knew that their journey was far from over. The galaxy was vast, and the Calder's secrets were still out there, waiting to be discovered, and she would stop at nothing to find them. Shadows of the past. The Endeavour moved through space with a quiet purpose, its crew still on edge from their recent encounter with the Calder ruins. The data they had recovered from the ancient generator was invaluable, but it raised more questions than it answered. What other secrets had the Calder buried in the far reaches of space? And what force had destroyed their civilization? Captain Lena Shaw sat in her quarters, reviewing the data on a holographic display. The symbols and schematics were unlike anything she had seen before, ancient yet eerily advanced. The Calder had possessed knowledge far beyond human understanding, and that made them both fascinating and dangerous. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. "Come in," she called. The door slid open, and Dr. Ilara Voss entered, her expression serious. "Captain, I've finished analyzing the data from the generator. You're going to want to see this." Lena gestured for her to continue. "What did you find?" Ilara took a seat across from Lena, her face illuminated by the blue light of the holographic display. The device we encountered was more than just a generator. It was a failsafe, a containment unit for a massive energy source. The Calder were using it to power not just their technology, but also a weapon of unimaginable power. Lena's brow furrowed. "A weapon?" Ilara nodded. "Yes. From what I can gather, it was designed to harness the energy from collapsing stars, like the ones in the region where we found the ruins. The Calder were experimenting with a way to control that energy, to weaponize it." Lena leaned back in her chair, the weight of Ilara's words settling over her. That's why the structure collapsed in on itself. They couldn't control the power they were playing with. "Exactly," Ilara said, "and I think that's what ultimately led to the destruction of their civilization. They reached too far, and it destroyed them." A silence fell over the room as Lena considered the implications. The Calder had been a powerful civilization, but their ambition had been their downfall, and now that same power was within humanity's grasp. "What do we do with this knowledge?" Lena asked, her voice low. Ilara hesitated. "We could try to destroy it, make sure no one else ever discovers it, but that might not be enough. The Calder are only one of many ancient civilizations in the galaxy. Who knows what other secrets are out there, waiting to be uncovered?" Lena nodded slowly. "We can't just bury it. We need to understand it, control it, so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands." "That's a dangerous path," Ilara warned. "If we're not careful, we could end up making the same mistakes the Calder did." Lena met Ilara's gaze, her expression determined. "We're not the Calder. We've learned from their mistakes. But you're right, we need to be careful. This technology is too powerful to use lightly." Ilara sighed, leaning back in her chair. "Then we need to find a place where we can study it safely, without endangering anyone, and we need to keep it out of the hands of anyone who would use it as a weapon." Lena nodded, already thinking ahead. "We'll need to set up a secure research facility somewhere remote, and we'll need to bring in specialists, scientists who can help us understand what we're dealing with." Ilara smiled faintly. "I can think of a few people who would jump at the chance to study this, but we'll need to be discreet. The last thing we want is for word to get out." "Agreed," Lena said. "We'll keep this on a need-to-know basis. Only those directly involved in the research will be informed, and we'll take every precaution to ensure the safety of the crew and the galaxy." As the conversation drew to a close, both women knew that the discovery of the Calder weapon was only the beginning. There were still countless mysteries to unravel, and the galaxy was full of dangers, both known and unknown. But Lena was resolute. The Endeavour would continue its mission, seeking out the truth of the Calder's legacy and ensuring that their mistakes were not repeated. The fate of the galaxy might depend on it. A few weeks later, the Endeavour arrived at a remote star system on the fringes of known space. The system was unremarkable, with a few scattered planets orbiting a dying sun. It was the perfect place to set up a secure research facility, far from prying eyes and potential threats. The crew had been busy constructing the facility, a large fortified structure on the surface of a barren planet. It was equipped with state-of-the-art technology designed to withstand anything the Calder's weapon might throw at them. Lena stood on the surface, watching as the final touches were added to the facility. The wind whipped across the barren landscape, carrying with it a sense of isolation. This was a place of solitude, a place where secrets could be kept safe. Captain Marcus Kane approached, his exosuit gleaming in the pale sunlight. The facility is almost ready. We fortified the perimeter and installed the containment units for the Calder technology. Everything is secure. Lena nodded, her gaze still on the horizon. Good work, Marcus. This place will be our best chance to understand the Calder's weapon and to keep it out of the wrong hands. Marcus hesitated for a moment before speaking again. Do you think we'll find all the answers here, Captain, or are we just scratching the surface? Lena turned to face him, her expression thoughtful. I don't know, Marcus, but we have to try. The Calder's legacy is a part of our history now, and it's up to us to make sure it doesn't become our future. Marcus nodded, his resolve matching Lena's. Whatever happens, we'll be ready. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the barren landscape, Lena felt a sense of determination settle over her. The road ahead would be difficult, filled with challenges and dangers, but she was ready to face them, to uncover the truth of the Calder's legacy and ensure that their mistakes were not repeated. The galaxy was vast, and its secrets were many. But as long as the Endeavour continued its mission, there was hope that the lessons of the past would guide them toward a better future. And with that hope in her heart, Lena turned back toward the facility, ready to face whatever the shadows of the past might reveal. Echoes in the void. The Endeavour had been orbiting the remote planet for weeks, the crew working tirelessly to unlock the secrets of the Calder technology. The research facility, now fully operational, buzzed with activity as scientists and engineers pored over ancient data, ran simulations, and cautiously experimented with the mysterious energy source contained within the Calder device. Captain Lena Shaw kept a close eye on the progress, aware that every discovery brought them closer to understanding the power they were dealing with and the risks it posed. The Calder weapon, once a tool of unimaginable destruction, was now a puzzle to be solved, a relic of a long-lost civilization that had danced too close to the edge of oblivion. One morning, as Lena reviewed the latest reports in the command center, a transmission came through from the research facility. Dr. Ilara Voss appeared on the screen, her expression a mix of excitement and concern. Captain, we've made a breakthrough, Ilara said, her voice tinged with urgency. You need to see this. Lena quickly made her way to the facility, her mind racing with possibilities. When she arrived, she found Ilara and a group of scientists gathered around a large holographic display in the main lab. The display showed a complex series of energy patterns, swirling and pulsing with a strange, almost hypnotic rhythm. What have you found? Lena asked, stepping closer to the display. Ilara pointed to the patterns. We've been analyzing the energy signatures from the Calder device, trying to understand how it functions. And we've discovered something unexpected. She tapped a control panel, and the patterns shifted, forming a more coherent image, a three-dimensional map of a distant star system. The map was overlaid with symbols and coordinates, all written in the same ancient script they had found in the ruins. This map was hidden within the energy signatures, Ilara explained. It's like a message encoded within the very fabric of the Calder technology, and it's pointing to a location we haven't explored yet, a star system on the edge of the galaxy. Lena studied the map, her curiosity piqued. A hidden star system. What do you think it is? We're not sure, Ilara admitted, but it could be another Calder site, maybe even the origin of the weapon itself. Whatever it is, the Calder went to great lengths to conceal it. Lena felt a shiver run down her spine. The Calder had been a powerful civilization, one that had ultimately destroyed itself with its own creations. If this hidden star system held more of their secrets, it could either be the key to understanding their downfall or the spark that reignited their catastrophic legacy. We need to investigate, Lena said, her voice firm. If there's something out there that could help us understand the Calder weapon or prevent it from being used again, we have to find it. Ilara nodded in agreement. I'll prepare a team to go with you. We'll need our best minds on this mission. As the crew made preparations to leave, Lena couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something monumental. The Calder's legacy was a dark one, but it was also a testament to the heights that could be reached by a civilization driven by ambition and curiosity. The journey to the hidden star system was long and treacherous, taking the Endeavour to the very edge of known space. The star system was isolated, its planets shrouded in darkness, orbiting a dying sun that cast only a faint, eerie glow. As they approached the system, the ship's sensors detected something unusual, a massive structure orbiting one of the outermost planets. The structure was ancient, its surface pockmarked with age, yet it emanated a powerful energy signature that was unmistakably Calder in origin. Lena stared at the structure on the view screen, a sense of awe and dread filling her. "What is that?" she murmured. Ilara's voice came over the comms, equally captivated. "It's a space station, Captain, and it's still active." The Endeavour slowly approached the station, scanning it for any signs of danger. The station was massive, its architecture resembling the ruins they had encountered before, but on a much larger scale. It was clear that this was no ordinary outpost. This was a hub of Calder activity, perhaps even the heart of their empire. As they docked with the station, Lena led a team of scientists, engineers, and security personnel onto the structure. The air inside was thin and cold, the corridors dark and foreboding. But despite its age, the station's systems were still functional, humming with a low, ominous energy. They made their way to the central chamber, a vast, circular room filled with consoles, displays, and strange machinery. In the center of the room stood a large pedestal, atop which rested a crystalline object that pulsed with a soft inner light. Ilara approached the pedestal, her eyes wide with wonder. This is incredible. It's a data core, Captain. If we can access it, we might be able to uncover the secrets of the Calder's technology and their weapon." Lena nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Do it, but proceed with caution. We don't know what we're dealing with here." Ilara carefully connected a portable terminal to the data core, and after a few tense moments, the terminal's screen lit up with streams of data, ancient files, schematics, and logs, all written in the Calder language. "This is it," Ilara whispered. "This is everything, their research, their experiments, even their final days." Lena watched as the data flowed across the screen, revealing a story that had been lost to time. The Calder had been a brilliant civilization, but they had also been reckless, pushing the boundaries of science and technology without regard for the consequences. Their weapon, designed to harness the power of the stars, had ultimately turned against them, consuming their worlds in a cataclysmic event that had wiped out their entire race. But there was more. As Ilara delved deeper into the data, she uncovered something that sent a chill down Lena's spine, a message left by the last surviving members of the Calder. The message was a warning, a plea to any who might find it. The Calder had seen the destruction they had wrought, and in their final moments, they had tried to stop it. But it was too late. The weapon had gained a life of its own, feeding off the energy of the stars, growing ever more powerful with each passing eon. And now it was waking up. Lena's heart raced as the implications of the message sank in. The Calder weapon wasn't just a relic of the past, it was a living entity, a force of destruction that had been dormant for millennia. and now, with their investigations, they had inadvertently reactivated it. "We need to shut it down," Lena said urgently, "before it's too late." Ilara nodded, already working furiously at the terminal. "I'm accessing the station's controls. There has to be a way to disable it, something the Calder left behind." But as they worked, the station began to tremble, the walls vibrating with a deep, resonant hum. The lights flickered, and the machinery in the room started to come to life, its ancient systems reawakening after centuries of dormancy. "We don't have much time," Lena said, her voice tense. "Whatever you're going to do it fast." Ilara's fingers flew over the terminal's controls, her face a mask of concentration. "I'm initiating a shutdown sequence, but it's complicated. The Calder built multiple failsafes into this system. If we're not careful, we could trigger the weapon instead of disabling it." The tremors grew more intense, and a low, ominous rumble echoed through the station. Lena could feel the pressure building, the very air crackling with energy. The weapon was waking up, and if they didn't stop it, it would unleash its full power on the galaxy. "Got it," Ilara suddenly exclaimed, her voice triumphant. "I found the core override. This should disable the weapon and put it back into stasis." She pressed a final command, and for a moment, everything went still. The station's lights dimmed, and the rumbling ceased. The air grew quiet, the tension in the room thick enough to cut with a knife. But then, with a sudden deafening roar, the entire station shook violently. The machinery around them sparked and whirred, and the crystalline object on the pedestal flared with blinding light. "It's not working," Ilara shouted, her voice barely audible over the noise. "The weapon's too far gone. It's overriding the shutdown." Lena's mind raced as she searched for a solution. They couldn't let the weapon activate. It would spell doom for not just the Endeavor, but for entire star systems. There was only one option left. "We need to destroy the station," Lena said, her voice cold and determined. "It's the only way to stop the weapon." Ilara looked at her in shock. "But Captain, if we destroy the station, we'll lose all the data, all the knowledge we've gained." "I know," Lena said, her heart heavy, "but we have no choice. We can't let this weapon loose on the galaxy." She turned to Marcus Kane, who had been standing by, ready for anything. "Marcus, prepare the charges. We're blowing this place sky high." Marcus nodded grimly and quickly began setting up explosives around the room, placing them strategically to ensure the complete destruction of the station. Lena knew it was a desperate move, but it was their only hope. As the charges were armed, Lena and her team made their way back to the Endeavor, the station's rumbling growing louder with each passing second. They barely made it aboard the ship before the countdown reached 0. With a final thunderous explosion, the Calder station was engulfed in a blinding flash of light, disintegrating into nothingness. The shockwave rippled through space, but the Endeavor held firm, its crew watching in silence as the remains of the station scattered into the void. Lena stood on the bridge, her heart heavy with the weight of what they had lost, and what they had narrowly avoided. The Calder's legacy had been a dark and dangerous one, and while they had managed to stop the weapon from activating, the cost had been high. But as the Endeavor turned away from the wreckage and set a course for home, Lena knew that they had made the right choice. The secrets of the Calder would remain buried, their weapon of destruction lost to the ages. And as long as humanity remembered the lessons of the past, there was hope for a future free from the shadows of ancient horrors. The galaxy was vast, and its mysteries were many, but with courage and wisdom, they would face whatever came next. For now, the Endeavor would continue its journey, exploring the far reaches of space, seeking out new knowledge, and ensuring that the mistakes of the past were never repeated. The adventure was far from over, but as Lena looked out at the stars, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. The future was uncertain, but it was theirs to shape, a future built on the foundations of hope, courage, and the unyielding spirit of humanity. The long road home. The Endeavor sailed through the darkness of space, its journey far from over, but its mission completed, for now. The destruction of the Calder station had left a void, not just in space, but in the hearts of the crew. The knowledge they had fought so hard to uncover was lost, sacrificed to prevent a catastrophe that could have wiped out entire star systems. Yet, the cost weighed heavily on Captain Lena Shaw and her team. In the days following the station's destruction, the mood aboard the Endeavour was somber. The crew busied themselves with routine tasks, but the energy was subdued, the usual camaraderie muted by the gravity of what had transpired. Lena could feel it in every interaction, every passing glance. There was a collective mourning, not just for the loss of the data, but for the lives that had been at stake, the thin line between survival and oblivion. Lena spent most of her time in the command center, poring over navigation charts and mission reports, trying to focus on the next steps. But the echoes of the Calder warning still haunted her thoughts. The weapon they had stopped was a terrifying glimpse into what unchecked ambition could unleash, and she knew that the universe held many more such dangers hidden away in forgotten corners of space. One evening, as the ship drifted through the emptiness, Lena found herself alone on the observation deck. The stars stretched out before her, infinite and unknowable, a reminder of how small and fragile they were in the grand scheme of things. The silence was comforting, a moment of peace amidst the chaos. But that peace was soon interrupted by the sound of footsteps approaching. Lena turned to see Dr. Elara Voss entering the deck, her expression thoughtful as she joined Lena at the viewport. "Can't sleep either?" Elara asked, her voice quiet. Lena shook her head. "Too much on my mind. I keep thinking about what we lost out there." Elara sighed, her gaze distant as she looked out at the stars. "We lost a lot, yes, but we also saved a lot. If that weapon had activated, it would have been catastrophic." "I know," Lena said, her tone heavy, "but it doesn't make it any easier. The Calder were on the brink of something extraordinary, and we'll never know what it was." "Maybe it's better that way," Elara replied softly. The Calder were brilliant, but they were also reckless. They'd pushed the boundaries of what was possible without considering the consequences, and it destroyed them. We might have learned from their mistakes, but it could have also tempted us to repeat them. Lena nodded slowly, understanding the truth in Elara's words. The Calder's legacy was a double-edged sword, one that held the potential for both incredible advancement and unimaginable destruction. Perhaps in the end, it was better that their secrets remained buried. "There's something I've been thinking about," Lena said after a moment of silence. "The message we found, it wasn't just a warning, it was a plea. The Calder knew what they had done, and in their final moments, they tried to stop it. They wanted to atone for their mistakes." Elara looked at Lena, her eyes reflecting the same deep thoughts. It's a reminder that even the most advanced civilizations can falter, and that we too have a responsibility to use what we know wisely to ensure that our curiosity doesn't lead us down the same path. They stood in silence for a while, the weight of their conversation hanging in the air. The stars outside the viewport twinkled faintly, distant and indifferent to the struggles of those who traveled among them. Finally, Lena broke the silence. "We've been through a lot, Elara, but we've also accomplished so much. The Endeavour was built to explore, to seek out new knowledge and to push the boundaries of what we know, and that's exactly what we're going to keep doing." Elara smiled, a glimmer of hope returning to her eyes. "You're right, Captain. There's still so much out there to discover, and we can't let one dark chapter stop us from moving forward." As they stood there, the ship's comm system chimed softly, signaling an incoming message. Lena tapped her communicator, acknowledging the call. "Captain, this is Marcus. We're nearing the jump point for our return to Alliance space. All systems are ready." "Understood," Lena replied, a sense of purpose returning to her voice. "Set course for home, Marcus. We've got a long road ahead of us." "Aye, Captain," Marcus's voice crackled over the comm. As the Endeavour prepared for the jump, Lena turned to Elara. "There's something else we need to consider. The Calder may be gone, but the universe is vast. If there are other civilizations out there with knowledge of the weapon, we need to be ready. Ilara nodded. We'll have to keep our eyes open, Captain. The galaxy is full of mysteries, and not all of them are benevolent. But I believe in our crew, in our ability to face whatever comes our way. With that, they both made their way back to the bridge. The familiar hum of the ship's engines grew louder as the jump sequence initiated, the stars outside beginning to blur as the ship prepared to cross the vast distances of space in an instant. Lena took her seat in the captain's chair, her hands resting on the armrests as she looked out at the swirling stars. "Engage the jump, Marcus," she commanded, her voice steady. With a surge of energy, the Endeavour leaped forward, the stars streaking past in brilliant lines as the ship entered the warp tunnel, hurtling toward the safety of Alliance space. As they traveled through the void, Lena allowed herself a moment of reflection. They had been through so much, faced dangers that would have broken lesser crews, but they had persevered. The road ahead was uncertain, but it was also full of possibilities, new worlds to explore, new allies to meet, and new challenges to overcome. The Endeavour was more than just a ship. It was a beacon of hope, a symbol of humanity's unyielding spirit and its insatiable drive to explore, to understand, and to grow. And as long as there were stars in the sky, Lena knew that they would continue their journey, no matter where it led. As the warp tunnel gave way to the familiar starfield of their destination, the Endeavour emerged on the other side, safe and sound. The stars of Alliance space greeted them, twinkling like old friends, welcoming them back home. "Welcome back," Lena whispered, a small smile playing on her lips. But even as they returned to familiar territory, Lena knew that their mission was far from over. The galaxy was vast, and the mysteries it held were countless. There would be new challenges, new discoveries, and new adventures waiting for them. And Lena Shaw, captain of the Endeavour, was ready to face them all. With a deep breath, she gave the order. "Take us home, Marcus. We've got a lot of work to do." As the Endeavour set its course, the stars stretched out before them, an endless expanse of possibilities. And with that, their journey continued, an adventure that would take them to the farthest reaches of space and beyond, where the only limits were those they set for themselves. For the crew of the Endeavour, the journey was never truly over. It was simply the beginning of the next chapter in a story that would be written among the stars. The legacy continues. The Endeavour cruised through the tranquil expanse of space, the stars no longer a blur but pinpoints of light against the velvet black. The ship was en route to the nearest Alliance outpost, where they would deliver their report and regroup before setting out on their next mission. The journey felt almost routine now, a contrast to the harrowing adventure they had just endured. But the weight of their recent mission still lingered in the hearts of the crew. As the days passed, a sense of normalcy began to return aboard the ship. Repairs were made, systems recalibrated, and the crew settled back into their routines. But something was different. The experiences they had shared on the Calder station had changed them all in ways that were hard to articulate. They had faced the brink of annihilation and emerged stronger, but the scars, both physical and emotional, remained. Captain Lena Shaw, ever the leader, made it a point to check in with her crew. She knew that while they had survived, the psychological toll of their mission was not something to be ignored. Lena herself had not been immune to the effects. The responsibility of command, the decisions she had made, and the lives that had been on the line weighed heavily on her. But she also knew that this was the nature of exploration, the risk and the reward, the unknown and the unknowable. In the ship's infirmary, Dr. Ilara Voss busied herself with routine medical checks, ensuring that every member of the crew was in good health. But she also knew that healing wasn't just about physical well-being. She had long conversations with those who needed it, offering a listening ear and advice when necessary. She could see the changes in them, subtle shifts in demeanor, quiet moments of introspection. The mission had left its mark, but it had also strengthened their resolve. In the engineering bay, Marcus Hayes worked tirelessly to keep the ship running smoothly. He was methodical, precise, and focused, but even he found himself occasionally drifting into thoughts about the Calder. The technology they had encountered was unlike anything he had ever seen, and though much of it was lost, the challenge of understanding and reverse engineering what little they had recovered occupied his mind. It was a puzzle, one that he was determined to solve, even if it took years. As the Endeavour approached the Alliance outpost, the crew gathered in the mess hall for a briefing. Lena stood at the head of the room, looking out at her team, each one of them a vital part of the mission, each one of them having faced dangers that few could imagine. "We've been through a lot," Lena began, her voice steady and calm. "We've seen things out there that most people couldn't even dream of, and we've faced challenges that tested us to our very limits. But we came through it together, as a team." She paused, letting her words sink in. The Calder left behind a legacy that we've only begun to understand. They were a civilization of great knowledge and even greater mistakes, but we can learn from them. We can take what we've seen and use it to guide us in the future, because that's what we do. We explore, we learn, and we grow. Lena looked around the room, meeting the eyes of each crew member in turn. Our mission isn't over. It never really is. There's always something new out there, something waiting to be discovered, and it's our job to find it, to learn from it, and to ensure that what happened to the Calder doesn't happen to anyone else. The crew nodded in agreement, a shared determination filling the room. As we head back to Alliance space, I want you all to take some time to reflect on what we've accomplished and what lies ahead. We've got a lot of work to do, but I know we're up to the challenge. The Endeavour was built for exploration, and that's exactly what we're going to keep doing. With that, the meeting concluded, and the crew returned to their stations, ready for whatever came next. As the Endeavour docked at the Alliance outpost, Lena made her way to the command center. There was a message waiting for her from Fleet Command, new orders, no doubt, for their next mission. But before she opened it, she took a moment to herself, reflecting on how far they had come and how much further they had to go. The journey of the Endeavour was far from over. There were still countless stars to explore, mysteries to unravel, and challenges to face. But whatever lay ahead, Lena knew that her crew was ready. They were more than just a team. They were a family, bound together by the experiences they had shared and the bonds they had formed. And so, with a deep breath, Lena opened the message, ready to face the next chapter of their journey. The legacy of the Calder had not ended with the destruction of their station. It lived on, in the hearts and minds of the Endeavour's crew, guiding them as they continued to push the boundaries of what was possible, to explore the unknown, and to write their own story among the stars. As the ship powered up and prepared for its next mission, the stars outside the viewport shimmered with promise. The Endeavour surged forward, cutting through the darkness of space, its path illuminated by the legacy it carried and the bright future that lay ahead. And so the adventure continued, endlessly, tirelessly, into the vast unknown.